Happy birthday, it's your birthday, happy belated birthday, it's in the past, happy future birthday, it's in the future. My name is Lion Crane, and welcome back to the Out of Time Podcast, the podcast where you, yes you, request games for me to play that I have never played before. We've done a multitude of games, ranging from Ocarina of Time to Mega Man Battle Network to now Sonic Mania. Speaking of Mega Man Battle Network, we're also going to be talking about Mega Man Battle Network 2 this podcast, because at the end of Battle Network, I was like, hey, I'm probably going to be playing Battle Network 2 in the future. Stick tuned to whenever I play that. And, you know, this episode we're going to be talking about Flying Battery Zone. You know, that's my segue into that, I guess. So, after Sonic Mania stuff, we're going to be talking about Battle Network 2 a little bit. If you're into that. So, jumping into Battery Zone. I'll be honest, this zone I wasn't really that much into. The first act is kinda alright. It's all about magnetism. You know, you get the little electric power up and you can cling to the ceilings. Why is that kind of hard to say? And just like flip-flopping from ceiling to floor, and there's a lot of indoor and outdoor stuff. And then you get to the end. Also, I didn't get any gems in any act. I have to say that outright. I game overed a couple times, especially on Act 2. But the boss of Act 1 is, I have it here, the big squeeze. It's like the one part in the one Star Wars movie when they end up in the trash compactor, and you know the walls are squeezing in around them. It's not that hard to figure out. You just kind of have to jump on the enemies they're spitting out at you, and then use that height to get at him. And then once he's defeated, like all the trash falls down, and then like the little grabby guy grabs Sonic and Tails, presumably, and you go to the next part of the act. Now this part was kooky for me, I'll say, because how would I say this? I would never know, like, what direction to go. There's a lot of directions to go in this game, but I would always end up, like, at the bottom of the ship, and then it's like, alright, well, now, where do I go? And there's all these little nodes, and they're shooting electricity to each other. You take those out, and then there's like these poles you grab onto, and you swing around, and you fling to the other pole, and you grab onto that one, and you swing around, and you fling onto the other pole. And then it gets to this point where it's like, you jump onto this fire guy. This guy shooting fire, and he launches you up. And then there's a spring. There's nothing else. And you launch up with the spring, and you start running, but in the opposite direction you expect. Like the direction you just came from. And because you don't want to go in that direction. You're pressing the wrong direction, so Sonic starts slowing down, and you just fall, and because you're on the outside of the ship, you fall off the edge, and then you get sad, and then you game over, and then you gotta start Act 1 all over. So the way I circumvented this was I eventually took a different route, and I was like, forget that route. The boss of this act is the Spider Mobile. And apparently people had trouble with this boss. It takes a lot of hits, I'll give it that. But it wasn't too bad, honestly. It utilizes, the spinning on the pole mechanic. Honestly, my advice is just don't spin off when the Spider Mobile isn't directly in your line of spinning. I don't know. It's not that too difficult. He does take a lot of it, so I'll admit that. And then after that, I believe we go into Crest Garden Zone, yes. And this is the last zone I really beat. So the last one I know about. So with that, let's jump into the Mega Man Battle Network topic. For anyone who hasn't seen the Mega Man Battle Network series, or hasn't played them, or isn't in the loop, I guess, in Mega Man Battle Network, you play as Lan Hikari instead of Mega Man, and Lan's kind of in this, normal world, normal in quotes, and Mega Man, he kind of like lives in this virtual world, and Lan has like this almost digivice type of thing, and he talks to and like interacts with Mega Man through the PET type of deal. And whenever there's something going on in his world, he can be like, "Hey, Mega Man, figure out what's going on with my stove. What's going on with my stove?" And he can just put Mega Man in his stove, and if his stove's overheating, he can tell the stove to settle down. That's kind of simplifying it a little bit, a lot of it, but that's the gist of it. In the first game, World 3, so I guess terrorist group, and they're like, "Hey, we want the entire internet to ourselves." And Lan and Mega Man are like, "That's no good." So that's pretty much it, without spoiling too many things. Yeah. In Mega Man Battle Network 2, well, before off, I suggest you play Battle Network 1, preferably with a guide. There's a couple dungeons that kinda gave me a run for their money. And like I said in the Out of Time podcast, I'm not really sure how you would play them without a guide. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Do you beat Mega Man Battle Network 1 without a guide? Let me know. Did you do it from memory back in the day? I don't know. Let me know. But in Mega Man Battle Network 2, it starts off, a couple months later, I'm not sure. And, everyone's just chilling. And when suddenly, one of our good friends begins to take a bath with their gas-powered water heater, and their gas-powered water heater begins to go on the fritz, and it just starts shooting like poisonous gas at them. And then we send, Mega Man in. Well, we sent one of our other friends in to save the day, but then they got like choked out. The Mega Man Battle Network series is like crazy how dark it gets at times. So we sent Mega Man. Well, we went in land, and then we had to send Mega Man in. I'm skipping over a lot of the tutorial stuff, by the way, and we went in, and then we're like, hey, there's a virus in the gas-powered water heater, and turned out to be Airman mucking things up, and his operator Arashi, you know that guy. And so we got rid of Airman, and he wasn't that hard. His little stage wasn't that hard. I think Airman's more known for the classic series from Mega Man 2. I'm not too knowledgeable about the classic series, but we got rid of him, and then all of a sudden we're like, let's go camping, and no one wants to go, and then they all want to go, and we're trying to become like Z class certified or something. There's a lot of tutorials in the beginning, and to be honest, that was kind of a drag. They're teaching you how side quests and stuff work, and I'm like, we learn a little about not World 3 in this game, the Net Mafia Gospel, and we eventually get to the campsite, and it's a cool little place, and it starts off with, they're like, let's get some stuff, like some firewood or whatever, and you think it's gonna be like a adventure game segment, because you start off like finding it by clicking on stuff, but you find it in like the weirdest areas. I don't know. There's a bear that appears, and it's not a bear, it's a robot. You like it, but you don't. And it turns out the bear's a robot. And the second area is more of the clicking on random stuff, but it's like stuff that actually makes sense. It's like, hey, can you get me a knife? Meilu says. And you gotta talk to a guy that's cutting stuff up, And then you gotta go up to a dam, and there's like a dam operator or something, and the guy's like, hey, what's going on? Well, I'm kind of like summarizing a little bit, and he's like, what's going on? And all of a sudden there's bombs going off, and Chad is there, and he's like, help me find the detonators. And all of a sudden, the clicking on random things that starts to play a part, and you gotta find these detonators, and I'll give them points. The detonators are kind of kooky things, The dungeon in this part is, the random detonators and the, I guess, the walkways explode at random times. It all leads up to the shady guy you passed by earlier. He is one of the people in the net mafia. He is the guy who controls Quickman. Now, Quickman, go into this really quick. Quick. He is kind of a butt face. Why is he a butt face? Because he can only be hurt. What is it? I think he can only be hurt when he is attacking, question mark. Yes, when he is in the middle of his attacks. When he's moving, he blocks your attacks. He is kind of tricky like that. I don't want to say I've definitely faced worse bosses in Mega Man Battle Network. So I don't want to be like, oh man, he's the end all be all. But so far, this game, pretty good so far. Is it as bad as Sonic Mania? Flying battery zone? I'd say flying battery zone is definitely harder than Quickman. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And until next time, bye-bye. Who would win, Sonic or Mega Man? Bye-bye.